sets up the stakes. It shows you David Mason, who's now voiced by that Milo guy from Heroes, whose last name I don't even want to pronounce because I can't. And then you're immediately thrown into the campaign with 3 other teammates. But what's really weird is that if you play the campaign solo, like I always do these COD campaigns in the past, despite the game clearly showing you in cutscenes that you have these 3 other people with you, these other members of Spectre 1 are just not present. Like during the actual moment-to-moment gameplay, if you choose to play solo, which is just so bizarre to me. Like in previous Call of Duty games, you usually have some NPC you follow or help, right? We all know that. But at the very least, Activision would try to make what's happening feel at least somewhat believable and have some weight to it. Instead, here you'll go from a mission cutscene where you're with your teammates all talking in the same room, then the actual gameplay will start, and then those teammates will just vanish into thin air to play solo. However, they will still talk to you during the mission and offer pointers, but their voices are instead heard over like the radio, despite them apparently being quite literally right beside you just seconds ago in the cutscene before or even after. Then, when a mission ends or any cutscene really happens, suddenly these people who are just floating voices around your head, they just appear in the flesh or basically do the scene with us. It's so weird, dude. I also wouldn't even say that any of the characters have a personality besides maybe Michael Rooker, whose character's name I don't even remember. It's just Michael Rooker being himself, which is fine, I guess. Although I will say one change I do like to this campaign is that Black Ops 7 actually levels your main account and your weapons while you're playing the campaign. So when you shoot the enemies in the campaign, yes, you will see the XP on every kill like it is multiplayer. And then you'll get more XP based on how you defeat them. Say a headshot giving you more points, or environmental explosions like a barrel or something blowing up and taking them out. And I like it because you're not only getting familiar with the weapons in Black Ops 7 through the campaign, but by using them, you are also leveling those weapons up and even gaining camos for them too. So then when you jump into multiplayer, for example, I was already level 7 on my account because I had just shot a bunch of dudes in the campaign. And I was able to then choose the same assault rifle I was using in the campaign, and immediately I would have some attachments available. So I could then customize my weapon and say, the magazine from the get-go or stock. I like this change. I kind of hope that every Call of Duty game does this in the future too, because campaigns should reward you with XP for your main account and your weapons. I do think it's a solid way to ease new players into these games too, but also maybe hopefully entice those hardcore multiplayer COD guys who actually play the campaigns in these games. If say that certain camos or such are only unlockable via playing the campaign itself, like there's even operator skins that you can unlock by only beating the campaign. So in terms of the reward feedback loop of the campaign, I have to give credit where it's due, okay? This is objectively better than previous Call of Duty games in this area when it comes to the system. It should become the norm. And in terms of multiplayer so far, I gotta say, the actual multiplayer feels pretty solid so far. Okay, it's not blowing me away or anything or changing my life. There's definitely some stuff going on I don't really grasp just yet about it, but the overall concept of multiplayer, it feels pretty good for my first impressions. Like, I'm not a COD, master, so my words are what they are, but the guns, of course, also, they still feel very good to shoot. It's still very satisfying to get someone in the head or pull off one of those quick gunfights. And yeah, you're constantly unlocking new things to try out, and the progression feels objectively good. So if you want my opinion on, say, the multiplayer alone, my opinion so far in that area is that if you enjoyed previous Black Ops multiplayer, yeah, you're gonna feel right at home with this. Like, duh, no, like, of course you will. And then you have the TTK, or that's the time to kill. That also feels more generous this time around. Maybe I'm crazy, but for both you and the enemy players, it feels better. I actually felt like I had more of a chance to react to someone shooting me more often than not this time around. Whereas in previous Call of Duties, obviously, some of you just see me and immediately I would be zeroed and respawning. Not as much here so far. And seeing enemy players' red health bars lower as I shoot them, that's a good thing too in my opinion. Because seeing the players' health bars as I shoot them, it gives me like immediate feedback of how much damage I'm actually doing at that moment. As opposed to previous games where I shoot someone and then they just sort of seem fine and I have no real idea of like how much damage I actually did to them. So again, multiplayer is good so far. The kill streaks are pretty standard, but I feel like there's actually way more than usual, I think too. You have a lot of things, you have drone strikes and storms and UAVs, of course, and all that. There's even a mech suit like your Iron Man, basically, for the first movie. When he, like, comes out of the cave or something, you just blast dude. So again, my overall impressions of the multiplayer are fine so far. It has 18 maps at launch, which I think is a hell of an amount, quite a bit, to be honest. And of course, a good chunk of them, like always, are older maps that are repurposed. But again, that's just probably standard at this point, I guess. But in terms of zombies, I'm going to be honest, guys, I haven't tried that yet myself. But from what I've seen online, it looks fun, but I have no real opinion on it. But if you read any reviews online, it seems like most reviewers, they seem to be enjoying the multiplayer and the zombie modes. But the problems here are very much to do with the campaign and also the unethical use of art, which I'll get into later on. But back to the campaign for a second. The problem here is, well, a lot of things. For one, the campaign cannot be paused. It's also a co-op campaign, so technically you can load into every mission of the campaign as if it was its own multiplayer match. So you can then play the campaign with random people who would then embody the other characters in Spectre 1. And objectively speaking, there really is zero reason not to do this, because by playing alone, you're just putting yourself at a massive disadvantage. Because if you die, for example, you basically got to just restart the whole mission over. Sure, you do get a self-revive kit at the get-go, and more of those can be found. But again, if you somehow run out of those and get overwhelmed, you just got to restart the whole mission. So obviously, the campaign is designed to be played with others, which alleviates the problem. But the first mission starts off simple enough. You're shooting Avalon soldiers, and you're in objective reality. At least I think you're in objective reality. And then eventually, though, as the campaign progresses, you were thrusted into a room with Emma Kagan. That's the black tattooed white lady with like a white jacket. She then unleashes this red toxin on Mason and the rest of Spectre 1, and this in turn causes the team to just fall into a hole in reality to end up in some weird, bizarro world where giant machetes are falling from the sky, and the enemies go from being normal dudes to these red ghost specter things. You've probably seen this online, but yeah, the campaign is just nothing but because everything you're witnessing, from what I understand, is pretty much like a Batman Scarecrow nightmare vision. Like this entire game's plot is just a bunch of Black Ops soldiers tripping balls 24/7 on super drugs. Basically, I haven't beaten the campaign yet, but who knows? Maybe they'll explain, no, actually, it was all real all along. It was a digital world made by Avalon, or it's a nano machine, son. Who knows at this point? Okay, Black Ops makes so little sense. The plot is just a jumbled mess. I did laugh out loud though early on when Mason is visiting Frank Wood's grave. You know, Frank from the older Black Ops games. Everybody loves him because they confirm that Frank lives to like 104 years old or something. Like the dude is born in the 1930s and he kicks the bucket in 2034. Like, how is this guy living so long doing all of what he did in Black Ops games? Ridiculous, man. But I guess this gives Activision 104 years worth of Black Ops stories they can pull from to push Frank Woods back into future games. Oh boy, can't wait for that one. Who knows? Maybe Frank will return with nano machines like the Joker and Batman Beyond. Like anything is possible here. It's just Fast and the Furious. Like I said, if aliens just started descending from the sky into Black Ops' campaign and they were confirmed real, I honestly wouldn't even be surprised. Because of course there's aliens. Why not? Maybe aliens are the main villains of Black Ops story. I don't know. Let's just go all the way since nothing seems to matter anyways. But in that first mission alone, there's giant machetes, like I said, falling from the sky. Then you fight the ghost of Raul Menendez in like a dreamscape where red ghosts are swarming you as you fall on top of buildings shooting you. And then when you do enough damage, this is a really baffling part, you can then grab like a machete on the map, like it's an actual like little icon power up, and then it's a kill streak. Then you pull it down and you pull down your own massive machetes onto remove. This is so dumb. It sounds like I'm lying, but I'm not. You drop the giant machete onto Raul Menendez, you do damage to his health bar like he's like a Destiny boss. Like, I'm not kidding. This is real. This is what the game is. Like later on in the campaign, you can team up with zombies and fight bug-crafting bug monsters? Like, what happened to these games that are about stuff like MK Ultra, conspiracy theories, and off-the-record ops missions in, like, different countries or something? Now it's as if Activision just makes content for content's sake. Like, at one point, you fight a building-sized Michael Rooker. I'm not even kidding. Like, watch this clip.
Fire on it! Do some damage! Shoot it! Shoot that son of a...
thought that was weird for Call of Duty? And then you have Frank Woods inserting himself into a gigantic Venus flytrap like he's Poison Ivy in Batman Arkham Asylum, then also shoots Scarecrow Red Scaretoxins out of it as he laughs in here. Like, that doesn't even sound like a real thing and I'm lying to you, but unfortunately, that is real. It is in the campaign. Like, watch this clip too.
What the f is happening?
You thought I was lying. I wish I was, but no, that's where Black Ops is going. They don't care anymore. It's just about filling the game with content for content. It doesn't matter if it's good or not. As long as they can just slap the words campaign on the box to just justify the price, it's not just a campaign. They're even getting attacked for the unlockables in the game too. As seen here from inside the game, Activision is being accused of using generative AI to create the calling card for Black Ops 7, which is pretty obvious when you look at them. I mean, here's some of the calling cards you can see that are obtainable in Black Ops 7. Like, these are just straight up AI art assets. There's no point in denying this. I've seen actual AI that look almost identical to how these calling cards are down to the camera. Like, these people are so strapped for time that they just keep cutting corners anyway to get content, and it's just getting gross. Obviously, this does bring up the conversation recently with art graders and how that game has generative AI voice lines, but at the very least, art graders has fully voiced cutscenes with real actors, like Call of Duty does too, I know, but they also don't use AI art graders to then make any of the art or the guns or the environments of the game. That's all handmade by humans. I can't honestly say the same for Black Ops series. They are just cutting corners, removing that human element from the design process entirely. It's just to save money and not pay real artists. And if the industry is going to curb stomp art graders the way that they have already, then it needs to be equally done to Black Ops 7, because this is egregious here. Like, look at this calling card. This is just some weird Studio Ghibli art pushed through with AI filter. Like, how can Activision even be allowed to put this in their game? Is this not something they could get sued for? Like, they're ripping off an art style, not paying anyone to Here's another AI calling card with a guy fighting zombies. They probably just used the prompt for Asher Evil Dead and Plants vs. Zombies and hit enter on this one. Here's another AI calling card where a wounded guy runs from a monster. Like, none of this was made by human hands. This is not a lawsuit in the game. But Insider Gaming also got a response from Activision over those AI cards, and here's what they said. Like so many others around the world, we use a variety of digital tools, including AI tools, to empower and support our teams to create the best experience possible for our players. I'm not even going to read the rest of that. Like, they just admitted it. They just confirmed that they use AI. So, like, what are you going to do about it if they're added to your framework? That's just insane. I'm actually curious. I'm going to ask you guys this. Can Activision be sued for this? They're using stolen art in a fully priced AAA video game product. Like, where does this stand? If Marathon got delayed because of that, how does Black Ops 7 get away with it? And remember how Activision said that Black Ops 7 would apparently remove the wacky and zanier cosmetics from the game in order to keep the series more grounded in Battlefield 6 saying the same? Well, that was a total lie, because here, user detonated showed off the animations for various Vault Edition Mastercraft cutscenes. Like, look at this. How can any of these things be believable? You have a gun that splits into like a Doomslayer sword. Remember when Reznov was the biggest problem with Black Ops story? Now you got Venus Flytrap Old Man Boss Battle, Michael Rooker as Godzilla, Laser Sword AI calling cards, and yeah, you can't pause the campaign. But I've never mentioned that right back. But look, you're being recorded on this PC. You can't pause the campaign. You also have to use online connection, and I'm already tired of this campaign. Just why? Why is Call of Duty like this? The actual gameplay is fun. Well, that's true of any Call of Duty pretty much. The shooting has always objectively felt good, but it's like this filet mignon that is surrounded by poop more often than it's not. Although at least in viewership numbers, Black Ops 7 is not outdoing even Arc Raiders on launch day. Like, look at Twitch's numbers. Here you can see Arc Raiders is actually being still on launch day. That is wild. Obviously, Black Ops 7 will still sell anyways, but who knows? Maybe with the community split between Battlefield 6 and Arc Raiders already. Much of that internet pie may have been eaten by the time that Black Ops is being up. Of course, IGN also gave Black Ops 7's campaign a 6 out of 10, as you can see here. But what's also funny is that they ended up giving Battlefield 6's campaign like a 5. I just think this is all such a mess. I personally don't believe that either Battlefield nor Call of Duty had a good campaign this year, but like always, it'll come down to the multiplayer support, and Call of Duty is so good when it always does, so that it'll be enough for you. But it's not like it matters, because in less than 6 months, the next game will fair score. Well, what else do we do? With AI slot it's like humiliation rituals. I kind of just feel embarrassed for having to do this. Of course, if I wasn't doing it, but here I am, and it hurts me that I paid money for this. My God, this game is already a mess. The AI stuff is crazy. What's arguably the biggest release of every single year in the game industry? How are they not able to afford artists to actually make real art for these games? They make enough money. It can only be for two reasons. One is greed, obviously we know that, and two, it has to be time. They just don't have the time anymore to give each of these games the time they need to really make them something special. Like at the end of the campaign, Black Ops 7 shows how many studios work to make this game a reality. Like, look at this game. Look at the credits on screen here. That's 10 whole development teams that worked on this one single game. Even Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer worked on this. Like, at what point do we realize this game like this has to be with Battlefield 6 is carrying on? Also now wanting to turn Battlefield to a real franchise just like Call of Duty. This whole thing just sounds like it's going to fall apart in a few years. Because you're telling me that every year eventually we're going to need for real? As I get older, I already have less time for other things. Trust me, there's no way I can keep up with the new Call of Duty, new Battlefield, plus the battle passes, all that content, whatever, plus all the other games I have to go on. Like, I would have to basically just stop doing YouTube, shut myself in a room 24/7, throw my hair down to my ankles, smell like moldy cheese, just to keep up with all of this. But I'm not going to do that, obviously. Like, these things are like a thin rope that is just being pulled so tightly, it's going to rip eventually. Like on Steam right now, as you can see here, Black Ops 7 hasn't even reached 100,000 concurrent players yet. And that 400k on the right that it just that's because every Call of Duty game goes through the same COD hub. So all these Call of Duty games are considered DLC packs for the main Call of Duty hub. So that's why. And oh yeah, that's also stupid. I forgot to mention this too, but the PS5 version of Black Ops 7, just like previous games, doesn't even have a platinum trophy. But the PS4 version does, because it's, like I said, it's full price as well. This whole game is just a mess for me, man, and it angers me because at its heart, Call of Duty is fun to play. Objectively, the gunplay is good, the movement is nice, and it is the hit. My God, is what's surrounding ever releasing turd sandwich in some way or another. I know they'll never change the yearly schedule, but man, do they have to do something at some point, because this cannot keep going as it is. If the only way we get new Call of Duty games every year is for Activision to remaster the same maps over and over again, I mean, for God's sakes, Nuketown is back for like the 7th, or is it like 8th time now if you include Cold War? Like, how many times have they added Nuketown now in these games? The only way a new game can reasonably come out is if older maps are recycled and remastered and older guns are brought back and given a new look, where now AI has to be used because we can't even make enough calling cards every year. Something has to change, guys. Come on, man. This is getting actually stupid to see every year. Like, I would love a new Call of Duty maybe every 2 years that really lets people flesh themselves out and true monumental. But at this point, these games are like cigarettes or vape pens. Like, they just last long enough until your next fix. But you'll be paid your nose to make sure that your pants stuff leave your hit so bad. It's just humiliating, embarrassing, frankly downright annoying to see what Call of Duty has become now. I would tell you not to buy it, but like any addict, the people who need this sort of stuff, they're going to buy it. But I guess if you were on the fence, I would strongly advise you either wait for a deep seal or just walk away entirely. You already know what this game is going to be. You've played it before. You've played it 7 or 8 times already. It's just, now it's full of AI, old men masquerading as blank kaijus or something like that. Call of Duty is now a ritual and I guess I'll ask what you think about it. Are you going to buy it or support it? What can Call of Duty do to change the trajectory? Maybe that's a better question. Or is it just finances? Are you really going to just play the same multiplayer zombie campaign cycle every year until the planet explodes one day? I guess we'll see, but man, do I miss the days of Black Ops 1. What's happening now? This is just not good. But I guess if you want to player, this can be fun. For most, that's probably going to be enough. But as always, thanks for watching. Subscribe. What a shame. What a shame.
So piracy is coming back. I think the reason
reason why this is happening is the old quote from Gavin. Piracy is a service problem. The reason why piracy went down is because there were services like Netflix, for example, that acted as a market replacement for piracy, and the amount of money that you had to spend was minimal enough to where you could get the value out of it, and instead of spending the extra time and the potential risk with piracy, you could just simply access the shows easily. I think Spotify is the best example that a lot of us use now. How many of you guys had LimeWire and now you have Spotify? I know I did. So Spotify is an example of this happening and working in an effective way. But the problem is that with TV shows and movies, there are too many mouths to feed, and now people are going back to piracy. That's what my opinion. I'll watch the video and see what they say.
The 2010s were the golden age of piracy.
Oh, yeah.
BitTorrent accounted for a third of all internet
Wow.
traffic. LimeWire had more monthly users than Facebook, and the Pirate Bay was the only video store in town where you were sure to find what you were looking for.
You get that 1080p release a day's worth of film.
Likely, of course. The world was slowly switching from physical to digital media. And even people who weren't particularly tech-savvy realized that digital goods could be replaced endlessly at almost no marginal cost. At its peak, 95% of all music downloads were pirated because it was cheaper and, above all else, an easier way to fill large digital libraries that were being made possible by cheap digital storage. But then, it just stopped. Since 2012, the internet has gotten faster, storage has gotten cheaper, and people have become more comfortable with computers, which should have just accelerated a growth trend. But it didn't. Since 2015, peer-to-peer file sharing has collapsed in popularity, and you might think you already know why. Streaming services are supported by Netflix is just a better, easier, and safer way to access.
That's one reason.
And now, as the services have become rapidly worse and simultaneously more expensive, piracy is making a comeback.
Yeah, that's the reason.
Right? The only problem is that's not the whole story. Realistically, these companies knew this day would come. It was just really important that they could protest the war.
Yeah, I think that also them like shutting down and then re-hosting Pirate Bay hurt piracy a lot because, and also LimeWire. It's kind of like if you cut off the head of the snake, you're going to remove a lot of people's access to piracy because like there are these websites that everybody would use and everybody would know, and just by the nature of how torrenting websites work and seeding and like all of that, the more people use a site, the better the site is. So whenever you cut off a few of the heads and then people went to a bunch of different sites, I think that made piracy less accessible for the lowest common denominator of internet users. I think that was another effect that it had.
For a lot of people, they've decided it's time to cut back.
Legitimately, it might be time to cancel some subscriptions, and I'm probably gonna have to cancel
Yep.
some.
Some of them I'm not using, and just wasting money. There's so many of these, it's hard to keep track.
That point doesn't necessarily I don't want to
That's right.
So
Well, that didn't happen.
really made piracy go away might sound simple, but there's actually a bit more going on. First and foremost, the majority of people actually would like to acquire their media legally as long as it was easy and not ridiculously expensive.
People want to have the media legally because it makes it easier to transfer and to use. And also there's risks with piracy. Like for example, you download something and it could have a virus in it or something like that. Or obviously you could get caught, but like realistically it's probably a virus. So, and again, these are 1% probabilities, but like if you had a bag of M&Ms and one M&M was poisoned, would you want to eat a bag of M&Ms? No, you wouldn't, right? You'd want to have another bag, even if the other bag was like way, way more expensive.
Reasonable people understand that it costs time and money to produce a song, film a movie, or develop a video game. And the people involved in these projects do need to be compensated, or else they are just not going to make them. Even people who play with the high seas, so to speak, know this better than anybody else. A survey coming out of Australia at the peak of online piracy found that people who pirated content were actually more likely to pay for it if it was available. In a finding that really ages the study, online piracy
Interesting content would imply interesting content. If people are willing to steal something, they're also probably part of the target audience automatically. Because they would be stealing it if they were for the audience. I mean, it's one of those things where it's but like stating it kind of helps put things into perspective.
power by this iTunes or for it's all because the pirate content would just more likely to consume content overall.
Yeah.
And most of them if they couldn't find out legitimate.
Yeah.
So there were two things that changed. Sure, there were a few high-profile crackdowns on some websites, but even the regulators themselves knew they were just playing a game of whack-a-mole. Yeah. One of the most downloaded files in the pirate bay was the pirate bay. A complete copy of the site with all of the addresses that can be set up by basically anybody with some basic server hardware and the ability to put down the original site.
Yep.
But then came along the streaming sites that, thanks to faster internet speeds, could let users watch content on demand without direct access to the files which were freely copied and shared illegally. The big thing.
And the fact is that like Netflix is a better service than using Pirate Bay. It is. It's a better service. You get a higher quality product on average. There's no watermarks. There's a lot. Like it's a better service. It's the same as Spotify. I don't know. I mean, so like you're right in terms of the breadth of content, but I don't think that you're right in terms of the quality of the individual.
Was that these options were just so easy compared to piracy, and so cheap compared to buying songs from movies one by one that it just didn't really make sense to bother with everything else. Nowadays, that's clearly changed. There are dozens of streaming services that are each getting more and more expensive every year.
Yep.
The movies and shows that you watch are
This is
crazy.
This is insane. This is like we've gone full circle, and now we're all the way back to cable. Quality's worse. Well, again, like so, quality. You're thinking about quality in terms of video quality. I'm thinking about quality in terms of aggregation. I'm thinking about quality in terms of being able to give recommendations. I'm thinking about quality in terms of usability, quality in terms of finding files. All of these things, and again, guys, I understand a lot of everybody, almost everybody in here, like we're all internet Andes, right? Like we're on the internet all the time. We're talking on the internet constantly, doing stuff constantly. I think that you really downplay the value that an average person gets out of having a self-contained system. You really, really downplay it. I think Apple, Steve Jobs understood that. That's why he was such a great visionary. And that's why the iPod was so successful and blew everything else out of the water. Its usability is something that is actually a massive accessibility issue, and it cuts out so many people who just never even say it. About convenience, yeah.
Split up over different providers, the services themselves are getting worse by introducing ads and pushing less relevant content, and on top of that, it's just not that easy anymore. Even individual TV shows have certain seasons split up over different streaming services, and the first step in saying that
the same shows on multiple streaming services with different seasons. Oh my god, what a scam. That's insane.
And if you're unlucky, what streaming service was what you get you get into the movie you want to watch. All the effort streaming services with your portable choice. Most cases will just so yes, streaming services are cheap and easy, which killed the need for piracy. But then they slowly became expensive and terrible, which is not effective. Pretty straightforward, right?
Exactly.
Well, it's easy to write this whole thing off as just dumb companies being needlessly greedy to their own peril.
Yeah.
And while that's definitely sure a thought, there is a lot more to it than that. What is it? Music streaming by comparison is there are multiple services, but almost all of them have almost all of the music that you would possibly be looking for.
And also, you can import your own music as well.
So nobody really bothers to pirate songs anymore.
That's right.
Which is particularly impressive when you remember that just 15 years ago, 95% of music was being downloaded.
Exactly. Service
Artists have
problem.
not been thrilled about the lower revenue they have got from streaming versus physical album sales. But most of them still go along with it because even a small share of something is better than most of their music being accessed for free.
Yeah, the thing is that like people are going, you either give it out for a price that people want to pay, or it gets stolen. Because they can't enforce it. That's the issue, is that like it's unethical to steal things, but nobody cares if you can steal it and get away with it. That's just
It raises a potentially unpopular idea that it might not be streaming that's broken, it might be the movie industry that's broken. The whole is just coming was never flashed because it was never predicted. So it's time to learn how money works behind piracy really makes it.
Okay, let's find out.
This video was made possible by iScan. I was sorting this taxes, trying to remember which ones I still needed to buy. And of course, one of the important ones I didn't understand all over. The text was very
If you do receipts,
me. That's why I started using iScan. I just scanned the receipt and it used AI to clean everything up. I straightened the page, fixed the lighting, and removed the worst mistakes. I could finally read the numbers again and drop the PDF script of my records. Since then, it's kind of become my go-to. Whenever I'm scanning documents, notes, receipts, or even something my dog got his teeth on, iScan makes it super easy to salvage whatever's left and turn it into something else. It's fast, it works across all my devices, and the free version actually does what I need. Editing signatures and storing everything in one place. Check out and make the paperwork
I don't even use it.
Netflix is the most dominant movie and TV series. It has over 300 million paying subscribers, and unlike a lot of its competitors, it's actually profitable.
Oh, it's actually making money now? I thought it was losing money still.
But from its very first days of online streaming, they knew they would eventually lose people back to piracy. They just really didn't care. And to see why, I'm sorry, but you are going to have to look at some financials.
Okay.
Last year, it made $8.7 billion in net income after taxes,
Yeah.
which is extremely impressive. But it still makes it hard to justify the valuation of more than
8.7 billion. 8.7. What, did it say billion or million? Wait, it only made $8 million, but the enterprise value is $500 billion? Who the fuck decided that? An elf? Oh, after 10,000 years, it's gonna be worth it. Oh, billion? But that's million.
after taxes. Have to look at some financials. Last year, it made $8.7 billion in net income after
Okay, well, I guess he just said the wrong number.
taxes,
I
which
don't
is
know.
extremely impressive. But it still makes it hard to justify the value